Back to My Garden, episode 71.
Welcome to Back to My Garden. Discover your passion for gardening. Here's Dave Ledoux.
Are you concerned about toxic chemicals, GMOs, and frankenfood? Don't panic. Grow organic. Discover my new resource for organic gardening. Go to www.backtomygarden.com/myorganic. Discover how to earn your first $500 as a garden blogger. Get my simple 5-step system for creating your own second income doing what you love part-time. Download instantly for free my garden blogger blueprint at www.backtomygarden.com/secret. Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world when you listen to this. I'm Dave Ledoux, and welcome to another episode of Back to My Garden. Fantastic guest joining us today from England, Mick Poultney. Mick is an award-winning vegetable grower, a lecturer, a demonstrator, and a judge from the Black Country in the West Midlands in England. He's near Birmingham, about 2 hours away from London. He's produced a training DVD on composting methods for the United Kingdom's National Vegetable Society. He's passionately involved in a school gardening club, teaching kids about raised garden beds, no-dig cultivation, vegetable growing, and greenhouses. Mick is somewhere between obsessed and in love and passionate with gardening. He's got a ton of information to share with us today. So without any further ado, I want to welcome to the show Mick Poultney. Hi, Mick. Welcome to Back to My Garden.
I do, Dave. Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Hello, listeners.
Yes. Mick, I gave you a little bit of an introduction. I want to get to know you, and I know our listeners want to hear your stories. Mick, relax, take a minute or two, share with the listeners a little bit about your background and how did you get into gardening?
Yeah. I'm a retired young 63-year-old. I grow veg to eat and to show. I've got 1.5 allotments, and I've learned to work with nature. Nature will win every time, so that's what I do. At the moment, I'm chairman of Cultivation. I've been for 30 years. I'm chairman of Dudley Horticultural Advisory Council. I'm chairman of the West Midlands District Association of the National Veg Society. That was an association started up last year. Well, that's doing well. We have a quarterly meeting. We get about 50 members turn up, which is what I like because it is something for new gardeners. And we're getting them into growing veg or fruit. So it's excellent. I'm an NVS Georgia lecturer, as mentioned. I run 2 training sheds on behalf of the gardening club. That brings in £600 a year, and that pays for our speakers throughout the year. I give talks and demos all over the UK. Besides gardening clubs, I've got one this Thursday up north somewhere. But besides gardening clubs, I do demos at the Cardiff Spring Show this year. I've done the Edible Garden Show in London. BBC Gardeners World Live, you might have heard of that one. I did that one at the NEC in Brum this year. That went down well. I run a school gardening club weekly with my mate Anna, who's one of the mothers at the school. Luckily, the national curriculum for schools, gardening has come back on this October this year. It's come back on, so the gardening is now back in the schools, like I used to have when I was at school, that time and all. What else do I do? I've built 2 allotments and got funding for 2 allotments for disabled or people with learning difficulties, one for wheelchair and one for walking. I've got a 29 grand funding. It took me 2 years to do with them. They've both got a large tunnel each. They're all raised beds, and that is a nice achievement, which is what I've done. We have a barbecue on our allotment site every year and an open day, and the proceeds go to those 2 groups. And what else do I do? That's about it for a bit. What got me into gardening? That was the other question, wasn't it? Sorry, Dave. Am I going on?
No, Mick, I'm gobsmacked. This is going to be a 9-hour show. You know, it's so much to go on. How did you get into gardening? Because you're...
Yeah, right. When I left the school, I did 12 years in the mob, Royal Navy. I was a seaman gunner because I like the fresh air. I don't want it struck down below. When I come out of the mob, I ain't got a clue what I was going to do. I eventually went in the fire service, but when I come out of the mob, I'd only been out a month. I was getting married. Now, the father-in-law then, one day coming over, he says, British Legion up the road, I'm starting a gardening club off. I says, gardening? I don't know, bloody interest in gardening. He says, no, it's an excuse to get out for a pint. And I thought, yeah, it's good, man. And I went. Within the second meeting, because that was monthly meetings, well, within the third meeting, that's how much I loved it. And 6 months later, at the first show, and I put beetroot in the novice section. And the judge who come round said, if you'd put them in the open section, you'd have won with that. That was it. I'd got the bug. Because then we lived in a terraced house. Now, the houses over there have always had long, good back gardens. And so on the borders of the lawn, I used to grow my onion sets because that was easy. Beetroot and whatever. And then the old man come down. He says, that back wall there is a sun trap. Paint it white and you can grow tomatoes up that. And that's how I started off. And I've been hooked ever since. The missus hates it. All right, anything to do with gardening. Luckily, I like reading books. But the worst thing I can say to it is, I'm just going to do a bit of catching up. When you've got the bug, you'll never catch up. You're going to get it again.
For those of you driving in your car or jogging while Mick and I are talking about gardening, don't worry about taking notes. Don't try to drive with one hand and take notes with your thumb on your phone. I'm going to have all of Mick's tips and strategies and resources and links up on the site at BackToMyGarden. Make sure you follow Mick on Twitter at Mick Poultney. That's MickPoultney. I'll have links up to Mick's Facebook. He also has a couple of blogs, including gardeningwithmickpoultney.com. I'm a little bit stuck here, Mick. I have notes, but I mean, I should be calling you sir, like chairman of the board. Your pedigree is incredible. But I want to start with something you said. Did you say your wife doesn't love gardening?
All right, it.
Really?
We both has had it all from years ago, like presentation nights and all this rubbish, and just fed up with it. Expecting a change or something for me to die off and get another hobby, but it's just getting worse, and now
that's
going to kick me out one weekend.
You're a ray of sunshine and hope for some of the listeners, Mick, because I get emails from people who say, I love gardening, but my husband or wife or partner hates it. So listeners, there you go. One of the top gardener teachers in England. And that's okay. That's how it goes. You also said something called the sun trap. And I've never heard it called that. That's ingenious. So you just painted a sunny corner of your garden white.
Yeah. On the afternoon, with the back of our garden, we'd get the sun. And it was a trap because we was down below a bit and there was hardly any wind. And the old man, he did the same at home. And he says, paint that wall white there. And you can grow some Boston tomatoes, cucumbers, whatever, even a grapevine or whatever. And it worked, and it was beautiful.
Wow. I was reading on your blog. I know you're really big on giving back and you're teaching kids. I didn't know about your allotments for the people with disabilities. What's that been like for you? That must give you an incredible good feeling.
That was good. I mean, the satisfaction of seeing the smiling faces, basically. Because I got it from a mate up, Dave Goodwin up Chesterfield. He used to work with people with learning difficulties. Now, he's a veg man. I met him a few years back. We meet up regular. But he used to work with these kids, but the medication that was on, it's just to keep them bloody quiet in it. And he thought about it. He got an allotment, and he thought, if I can get these kids an allotment, well, there was adults as well. If I can get them an allotment, it'll give them something to look forward to. Instead of looking forward to just going Monday morning or going swimming, and that's the highlight of the week. Give them an allotment. And that's what he did. And the little faces, well, big faces and all, they used to light up. And the medication dropped because he used to bribe them. If they played up, he says, if you don't behave, you're not going down the allotment. Because they used to go down regular. And they used to behave, do what they was told, and they loved it. And that's what I thought about. I've got a bit of spare time. I mean, don't get much anyway. Sit on my backside. Well, I nicked a bit of land off the council, extended our allotments. Well, because nobody come down from the allotment, from the council, to see how much land I wanted, I asked for twice as much as what I did want. Then I could add an extra 3 allotments and knock them off our waiting list. But I got the lottery fund had been going a few years then, and money from them, anything to do with disabled or whatever. And I got 29 grand, took me about 2.5 years. But they're all raised beds, good sized tunnel each, and they love it. And there's one for wheelchair, one for walking. But the satisfaction they get out of the work, exactly the same with my mate up Chesterfield. That instead of doing, it's the green team from Dudley who've got the walking disabled plot. Now they have to work on a canal because they used one of their buildings, the canal buildings, as area quarters. So they have to do voluntary work on the canal just to have a room to live in, sort of thing, during the day. But this allotment, they just love it. And as soon as I can, I'm in the little minibus and I'm down there. And they do it. If the weather's all right, they stay there all day. And if it starts piddling down, they just go in the tunnel, do a bit in there. That's what I do at the school with the kids. Tunnel's the classroom, if the weather ain't much cop. But they love it.
Mick, whenever I get somebody who's so experienced like yourself, you're so busy, you're teaching and you're helping and you're demonstrating. Did you get a chance to garden much this season, and what was it like for you?
Yeah, I'll never stop. Because whatever I'm doing, whether it's composting, I do fruit as well, gladiolas. I'm always trial and erroring. If somebody beats me at a show or something don't work right, then I'm going to do trial and error and get it even better. If somebody beats me at a show, I'll go and find out what they're doing different to me, where they're getting the seed or the stock from, the supplier is, and how they're doing it, basically, how they're growing it. But, doing well. Had a good year. There's always something that'll let you down in the growing season, but never let it put you off, because there's always something that'll lift you. That's why I like growing a lot of veg and fruit. Something to let you down, something else, I'll pick it up. But that's as in life anyway.
I'd like to hear about what frustrated you this year. I know you had a very good summer for weather. Did anything really refuse to grow?
Everything grew. The only thing now with where we are in the West Midlands, in our area, we have the allium leaf miner, and it's a pain in the arse. We've had it about 8 years now, and it's a little fly that come over from eastern Russia, and it's worked its way across Europe. We've got it now in the Midlands, and it's active end of March, beginning of April, end of October, beginning of November, and it just kills, devastates anything in the allium family. So your onions, your leeks, garlic, shallots. This fly gets in, bores its way in. That's why it's called a miner. It bores its way in. the little maggot goes down the length of the leek of the onion, then turns into a chrysalis. And there's nothing in the garden that can get as a spray. Because of the good old common market, EC, whatever you want to call it, have banned all good insecticides. And it's just a pain. Even growing, the only thing you can do is grow under environment. But that don't work. I've tried for the last 2 years to go organic. No way. Can't do it. It can't be done. Even in environment. If you grow under an environment, you've got to keep it closed permanent from planting out until you take it up. It's no good lifting it to weed or whatever. If you lift it, the fly's going to get in. And it's just been a pain in the arse. That's my only drawback in the last few years. Allium leaf miner. It's just...
I'm sure in Eastern Russia they have different laws about poisons than we do in England and America.
Yep.
That's tough.
I mean, the EC now have banned that many things, and we can't get them. But if you go over the bloody way to France, you can buy anything. So it's only England that's bloody banning it. It's software.
So France is where you go for good poison.
Yeah. I don't know then.
That's good.
Yeah, maybe Looper we have in the UK.
Very good.
That's
So it's killing your onions.
Yeah, it distorts them, disfigures them, and they just die.
Yeah.
But people, that just throw them on the compost heap. But the chrysalis is still there for next year, and there's nothing you can get for them. And obviously, it's spreading.
I was telling a friend of mine that I was going to interview you today, and he told me to ask you about composting. I know you're very, very experienced on composting. Can you talk just for a couple of minutes on if a beginner is starting to get into composting, some of the mistakes they make, or maybe some tips to think about?
Yeah, when I give me talks, it usually lasts about an hour or something if I go to a gardening club or whatever. And at the end, I say now, I know I'll go over the top in my composting methods, but just anybody, you can still throw your stuff in whole. I mean, I chop mine up, but you can still throw it in whole. But all you got to do is just keep it moist and put a carpet lid on it, and then it'll break down quicker. But I mean, my composting methods, Monday I do my composting. That's my composting day, meaning I save all my kitchen waste. Some of the missus has allowed me to do. It took me 30 odd here. So I've got my little bag in the kitchen. And then I got my garden waste as well, allotment waste, green waste. Because I weren't getting enough compost, because I want as much compost as I can make. Because the last 2 years, I'm now using it as a growing medium, 100% and it is working. So I need as much compost as I make. So on a Monday morning, I go to the old folks' home where I've got my aunt. She's got Alzheimer's. So I visit her every Monday. But I've bribed a couple of wenches in the kitchen. And I bribed them to save me all their scraps, kitchen scraps. So when I come out of there, I've got a bloody great load, bring it home. As soon as I get home, I pick my stuff up down the allotment. And that's me chopping everything up in a bucket, edge shears. The smaller you can get your pieces, less work for the worms. Then I get an empty compost bag and I mix it all up. You've also got to have your carbon, which is your brown compost. This is egg boxes, loo rolls, and shredded newspaper, stuff like this. And I rip them up as well. The missus now has the remote control, is in charge of that for the telly. It's very rare I'll watch the box. I'm sat behind her on the computer, on the internet. But if I've got to watch some slop with the missus to look interested, then I'm just ripping egg boxes up, or loo rolls. But that is your carbon side of it. Eggshells you keep, I chop them up as well. That is your lime content. That keeps your compost neutral. If you don't use eggshells, the worms will tell you. I use the black plastic bins. There's 330 litre and 220 litre bins. But if there's something in there the worms don't like, they will congregate in the lid, meaning I'm trying to get out. so they will tell you if they're happy. Just keep it moist. Every week, 10 days, I lift the carpet on top of when I fill the bin up, put a bit of carpet on as well, because when that breaks down, exactly the same as if you got osmoke outside, when it breaks down, it drops. I've got carpet on the top of that. The same inside a plastic bin. When that breaks down and drops, you've then got that cold void from the top of the compost, and there's never any worms there. So I thought about that. If I put carpet on the top of that as well, which I do now, and that drops down, then lift the carpet and see the worms working away. I do a moisture check every week, 10 days, and then I just lift the carpet. If I see a worm, I know it's good. I put it back again. If I don't see a worm, I'll see if it needs watering. And if it does, then I'll just water it. But that's all you got to do. Keep it moist, keep it warm. In the winter, I've now got old carpet around my bins so they don't freeze. I want my compost to work. Well, it does work 12 months of the year. And in the summer, my bins are walloped with a white paint to repel the heat and the light so they don't cook. Look after the worms, now look after you.
Oh my goodness, Mick, that's the best. We should be charging for this. This is awesome. Good for you. Oh my gosh, that was good. So the worms are the secret. If the worms tell you everything you need to know.
Look after the worms, I will look after you.
Yeah. Good.
One thing I was putting in the bins, like when I was doing a moisture check, I lifted the lid, and there's a great dollop of worms around the lid. So I thought, I'm trying to get out. There's something in there that they didn't like. So then I put my brain into gear, and it turned out, when I was getting this extra stuff from the old folks' home, because I was feeding all the old ones with the oranges, lemons, onions or whatever, acidic. That was the stuff the worms don't like. It's too strong for them. Now, since I've kept them out, I've had no problem whatsoever.
Mm.
And they multiply rapidly because you give them the food. If you keep them moist and warm, they will just get going.
Very good. You know,
at
Mick,
the end of the year, go on.
Oh, go ahead. At the end of the year?
Yeah, at the end of the year, because I'm all raised beds, I don't dig anymore. That's why worms are invented. If I've just got my last cauliflower out of a raised bed, I will then top dress that raised bed with a half-inch of compost out of one of my bins. Because it's full of worms, I mean, there's still lumps of eggshells and whatever. I mean, now it's ready within 3 weeks. And I just top dress the raised bed, water it, put a weed suppressant on, a thin weed suppressant, and then stake that down because of the wind and that. Now, whether it's a week or 10 days before I need that bed again, by the time I lift the weed suppressant, now the worms, oh crap, let me just turn that off again. By the time I need that bed again, the worms have done my digging for me, and it is beautiful stuff.
Beautiful.
Only time I use a fork, I haven't used a fork or a spade for bloody moons. Only time I use a fork is to lift an onion or a leek or something big, celery or whatever. But all I use on the plot now is a hand fork.
Nice. No dig cultivation, right? That's one of your teaching lessons. Wow, the worms do the heavy lifting for you.
Because I'm into mycorrhizal fungi as well. Saw food web, I've been looking into that. And all this rubbish, this is why there's quite a few big boys fall out of me.
Hmm.
When I say big boys, I mean, them at the BBC Go on the World Live, they tell people that you've got to dig, leave them in great chunks of soil, let the frost break it down. What a load of rubbish. You're killing all the good bacteria and the fungi. Just leave it. Nature don't dig. You just leave it.
I just glanced at the clock. Our time is flying by, Mick, and now's the time in the show where we play a game called 5 Quick Questions. This is your chance to share your wisdom and experience with brand new beginner gardeners. Are you ready to play?
Yep.
Question number 1. What's the strangest excuse you've ever heard as to why somebody doesn't garden?
Strangest excuse. Too much like hard work.
It's too much like hard work. Yeah, good.
We get it down the allotment. If we get somebody new, the thing is with a waiting list on our allotment, well, any allotment site, you don't know whether them gardeners or not until they've got the plot. Now, I'm going to say that 50% of them, they weed once and think that's it. They haven't got to weed again. And they come back 10 days later and there's weeds spurting again. And they say, it's too much like hard work. I think, bloody hell, what do you do for a living? You know, you don't know what work is. And I find that strange as an excuse.
Weeding once a year, just like bathing once a year, whether you need it or not. Yeah. That's good.
Is that boring?
Question 2. You're a great teacher, but question 2 is, what's the best gardening advice that you've ever received?
Ever received? Don't give up, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when I'm trialing, if I do, or if I grow something and it doesn't grow well, I think I've done everything right. But never give up. You've always got another chance to do it. So do it again. And that's where trial and error comes in. That's why I trial and error with everything. When I've got something right, then I stick to it. And it's only until somebody else beats me that then I start looking at it again. But never give up on anything.
Nice. Question number 3. You mentioned you use the internet. Do you have one or two favorite gardening websites or blogs that you'd like to recommend?
I'm only my own.
Mm-hmm.
Is that all right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, ferret1951.wix.com. This is one our little one done up for us, and he's thrown quite a bit of my stuff on there. There's also www.nvsuk.org.uk. That's the National Veg Society website. If you get on the front page of there and just click on Mick's Corner, and I'll do a weekly blog on there. And I've been doing that for over a year, so you can go back and you've got a year's load of stuff on there. That's good for the new people.
All right, so I'll put a link up to your weekly blog at the National Veg Society, nvsuk.org.uk, and also have a link to your Wix site as well. You have a lot of good content on there.
Yeah, I'm getting it. I'm giving back. I've had a good life. I had 12 years in the mob, loved it. I did 23 years in the fire service, loved that. I retired at 50 with a pension, got away with it. Now I'm giving back. And I love that and all.
Question number 4, the books. Do you have a favorite gardening book that you can suggest?
Yeah, there's only one I've ever used, or one author I should say, and that's Dr. D.G. S.A.N.
Mm-hmm.
He's just brought one out, the new veg and herb expert. I think that's just looking. Yeah, it's come out this year. But everything you need to know about gardening. He does books on fruit, veg, herbs a lot. But his knowledge and the way he writes it down, you know, I still go back to this book now, his books. And because there's loads in the back as well about disease and whatever. Or if something goes wrong, it tells you what to do, how to correct it. And his books, I swear by him.
Very good. Question number 5. It's a fun one. It's a two-parter. I know you work with a lot of kids and brand new gardeners, so it's perfect. What's the number one thing that you think every brand new gardener should try to grow next season? But part 2 is there anything that you've never grown that you would love to try to grow?
Obviously, if you got a garden or a plot, you always grow stuff that you're going to use. I mean, I grow more onions than anything because we use more onions than anything. Because I do all if the missus still works, I do all the cooking at home, all that and all. Make my own wine, make my own pickles, and all that I'm diverting. But grow something that or like unusual stuff. Now, 3 years ago, through trial and error again, I got the kids on sweet potatoes, and they said, they're nice. I thought, bloody hell, kids like something new. So I thought, right, sweet spuds, let's start growing them. Because they're a tropical, obviously, thing, and we don't get decent summers here in the UK like we used to. The first year was a bit of a letdown. I was only the sweet potatoes was coming out half the size of what you could buy in the shops. The taste was better, obviously, but that was only half the size. And I thought, I'll wait my time. But then you had to buy slips. It was just one streaky piece of grass, basically, and that was a potato slip. It had grown from that. But then the following year, I thought about it. I thought, because I'm a tropical, I like the warmth of this. So the following year, I just thought, right, I'll do it like I do my exhibition veg. I lined the bed. I did it a good drop of osmuck, cow muck, whatever you can get hold of. Give it a good watering, and then I lined it with black and white plastic, meaning to keep the warmth and the moisture in there. The plastic was staked down. I put a cross in and then planted the spuds through that. Now, sweet potatoes grow vertical, meaning they need the depth. So if you ain't got a raised bed, then just use a bucket or a large container, something like that. But it's worked this year, and the size of them now exactly the same as what I'm getting out in the supermarket. I'm still picking them now. I'm still in the ground. But they're beautiful. Slice them, put them in a bit of tin foil, runny honey, cooking oil, black coarse ground black pepper, and seal them up and throw them in the oven. I do that with sprouts, all the veg. That's how I cook them now.
Very good. That's fantastic. Congratulations.
I like me grub.
Yeah, absolutely.
I eat like an off, and I don't put on weight because I don't stop.
That's the secret, isn't it?
It certainly is.
For those of you listening around the world, make sure you follow Mick on Twitter at MickPoultney. I'll have links up to Mick's weekly blog at the National Veg Society, as well as Mick's own personal blog. Come to BackToMyGarden.com. It'll be episode 71. Mick, you're an incredible guest. I feel very honored. You're such a great teacher. We're nearly out of time, but I want to give you the last word today. Do you have a pearl of wisdom or a note of encouragement for all the gardeners out there on their gardening adventures next season?
Yeah, just look forward to it. I mean, I've started already. I've got stuff in the greenhouse going. I've got my leeks and wings. I've got my own propagator in the loft, out the way from the missus, so they'll throw a fit. But just look forward to next year, because there's something to do all year, which is the good thing about gardening. But if something does let you down, don't let it rattle you. It's just the same as life. Something will knock you down, but something else will pick you up again. But the friends you can meet and the camaraderie, it is better now than what it was when I started. When I first started off, nobody told me, so I had to learn, and that's what got me. I just said, right, Sodja, I'm going to learn everything I can and tell everybody everything. And it is still upset a few of the big boys now, and they still don't speak to me. With friends like that, I don't need. So just learn and enjoy gardening. There is no better hobby. Enjoy it.
Fantastic. Mick, you've been a tremendous guest. Thanks for being on the show.
Lovely. Been Boston. Cheers, Dave.
Cheers.